Welcome to In Search of an Argument. Today we're going to do things a little bit differently. We're going to do three segments that are not related. And we're going to start with the segment about our reactions to the recent election. We're recording this on November 29th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So it's been about 3.5 weeks since the election. I'm going to ask each of my partners and our very special guests today to give us their thoughts, feelings about the election, both as they felt it when they first heard it on election night or the day after or whenever, and how they're feeling about it now, 3.5 weeks afterwards. So let's start with our commander in chief, John Heinz. John Henley, I'm sorry. I'm
I go by
sick
Heinz.
today. You go by the Heinz now. Okay, I thought we were doing Henley.
You guys tell me. I think women do this sometimes when they have an entire profession built up on their
Yeah,
pre-married
absolutely. Of
name. They
course.
just keep their
Absolutely.
pre-married name through their.
Absolutely.
Everybody's
Okay.
nodding. Okay,
So
that's what
you
I'm doing.
consider this podcast part of your professional life?
Oh fucking hell yeah!
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
okay, maybe that's the topic. Maybe that's what we should talk about.
That could be
Maybe
the
that's
top.
the topic.
Maybe the topic should be what can we do about John's attention deficit disorder? Maybe we should have a whole episode about
I'd
that.
love to talk about ADD. It's a very,
Okay.
very, very powerful weapon.
Squirrel.
Oh, where?
Okay. So, election.
I wasn't surprised by the outcome. I mean, I was a little surprised by the depth of the outcome, but I wasn't surprised by the popular vote because, I mean, everybody I knew in Illinois was like unhappy with what the Democratic Party was doing. And they knew in Illinois their vote didn't matter. So they would vote for the Green Party or for a Libertarian or for just RFK Jr. Some people actually, he was still on the ballot in Illinois. So some people voted for him. Despite the fact that he had withdrawn. So whatever. I mean, but the point is, I feel like the popular vote, because in the states that really matter, California, New York, and Illinois, and Massachusetts, whatever, that people voted strategically just to make a point. So I don't really care about that. There's the popular vote, but I wasn't that surprised that he won. I mean, the guy was shot a couple times.
All right. And if your thoughts, any additional thoughts since the election in the past 3.5 weeks?
The chaos of the cabinet posts and the chaos is back, right? It's going to be a reality TV show for 4 years. Hopefully it won't result in World War III. Maybe it won't. I don't know. I see the opportunity for missteps all over the place. And I mean, I'm not going to have some moral outrage that he chose a world wrestling, person to run to run education, the Department of Education. I mean, I'm not going to have any moral edge about it, but it displays his values, which is fine. I actually believe in education. I think it means something and there's value to it. So I think the value of putting a person in that position who can actually do something and has some expertise in the area and knows what needs to be done would be valuable. But I know they're talking about getting rid of the Department of Education, which they always talk about, which is silly because Congress makes laws, not the Department of Education. But I think the cabinet posts and the chaos have started, I've mostly backed away from reading a lot of news. I'm reading some, but not a ton. But I'm not really hiding out. I'm reading things, and I'm engaged. I do find Nate Silver's Substack informative. He's still interesting. I don't know. I still like reading him. And I've picked up a couple other ones that I'm reading now that I think are interesting. And I'm reading those probably more than I'm reading the papers. But yeah, I'm still engaged. I don't really see that much, that I didn't expect.
Shelley, do you want to use your professional or your private name on this podcast?
We'll go with both, which is Shelley.
Shelley Cummings from the grand state of Indiana.
Yes. I have the thinking that those that voted for Trump were voting for Trump because they wanted Trump to win. And those that voted for Kamala weren't necessarily endorsing her. They just didn't want Trump to win. Like They just wanted to go. And I think there's, they're gray in all of that. There's some that were definitely wanted her to win, but with only being slightly over 100 days in the running, I don't think the Democrats did themselves any favors. So I was not surprised with the outcome. I was a little surprised by the number. And when you look at different counties in different states, they have different. I've noticed some maps that will show how much more she lost compared to what Biden won in the previous election, and she didn't garner those votes.
Okay. Any more thoughts since the election? Any thoughts over the last 3.5 weeks?
No, I think John summed it up nicely with saying that the chaos of filling the cabinets members and how that's going to play out. Like, I'm going to have to go someplace else to get fluoride in my water, clearly. But I think
Shelley lives in the birthplace of that.
Do I?
No, Peggy lives in the birthplace
Peggy,
of that.
yeah.
Right? That's right. Is that where they put it? Grand Rapids?
Okay,
yeah.
we'll go into that. We'll go into that version another time. Go ahead. Yeah, so that's it. Okay, and we have our very special returning guest, bringing a little glamour to the podcast, as always, Ian Williams.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me back. I was certainly. I'm mad at the Democrats for mismanaging this whole thing. When Kamala first came on, it was like a breath of fresh air. Like, this is going to be great. Get these two old guys out of the way and get some reality back. But obviously the campaign just didn't work out for it. They've really. I'm sort of leaping down to the 3 months looking back. And looking back, it's like, guys, this was really badly mismanaged. To spend over $1 billion that quickly overspend. And for, Biden stayed in too long. Harris, God bless her, to get out there as much as possible and was obviously following instructions. This was the Democrats have been so good in the past at the ground game and getting the votes out, and this time it just didn't work. They've somehow managed to lose their base badly. And the other reflection I had, and I'm calling them the Rat Pack now. It's like Trump and his guys coming into the WWE. The Joe Rogans, the Elon Musk, the Tulsi Gabbards, the Robert Kennedy, Donald Trump even, they were all Democrats at one point. All Democrats. And lost. It's like, this is crazy. How does this happen? How's all these people that were Democrats now on the Republican side? And I think it's got to be a reflection of how far left the Dems have gone. Somewhere along the line, and have lost I'm going to call it the working man's vote. Or it's very hard when you see hurricanes in this country, coming through and wiping out communities, and they're getting offered $750, and we're sending billions to Ukraine. And when we've got people coming across the border, they get accommodation, they get a cell phone, they get a debit. It's like somewhere along the line, the people have said something's wrong here. It needs rebalance. I just hope we can get through the 4 years. I don't think it's going to go to World War III, but it's like 4 years of Trump was enough, and now we've got to do it again. And it's hard to believe, to be honest with you.
Okay, from Poughkeepsie, Beth Shannon.
Yeah, I don't know whether I was just delusional or overly optimistic, but I actually thought Kamala had a chance to win, so I was devastated by the result and by how big it was. And I think I told you guys this before, even walking around my neighborhood, walking the dog and seeing Trump signs on people's lawns, it was like, I had a visceral reaction every time I saw it. And so now to know that over half the country sees him as a solution. And I mean, I get Ian's point that people the Democrats weren't listening to what had traditionally been their base. And there are a lot of grievances that people have. But to me personally, I just think like that man is filled with hate. He always tries to find what he perceives as the weakling. He takes away people's rights. And this is something I've spent my life fighting for. So I'm still getting upset. So I'm going to hand my baton over to John because I'm scared.
Okay, Peggy.
John had his hand up, but
Yeah.
Let's wait. Let's do let Peggy
okay.
talk first. Peggy Bennett from Grand Rapids, the birth of fluoridation, apparently. Birthplace of fluoridation. Go ahead,
Um,
Peggy.
I agree with what everybody said, but I'm mostly in Beth's camp with this one. I find it shocking. I also am not surprised though that Trump won, but I did have a glimmer of hope that she could pull it off. Um, and I am more. I had a discussion with one of my family members who is a Republican who doesn't like Trump, which I think was a common thing. But she just couldn't vote for Kamala because do you think he can stand up to Putin? Is what she said to
She.
me. And to me, I mean, after we went around and around a bit, and we had a very good discussion, which is not like me because I get kind of heated, and I'm not super knowledgeable on politics or like Ian said, how they bombed the campaign. I wouldn't know that they bombed the campaign. I thought she did a great job energizing people. I loved the Democratic National Convention. I thought it was inspiring. She raised a shit ton of money. I think people just don't want a woman still, and that's what really is
No,
annoys me.
no,
And when people talk about her voice and her laugh and okay, you think Trump's got a decent voice or Clinton had a decent voice? Like it has nothing to do with somebody's voice or their laugh. It's that part just I don't even when people say that kind of stuff, I just like talk to the hand. Anyway, I just said to my mother-in-law, I don't care if she's a bad president. She's better than him. And that's
Any
how I felt.
Okay? Any change since the election? Any since the past 3.5 weeks?
Not really. I guess the same thing. It's just sort of entertaining to see who all these announcements are for the cabinet members, and you can't help but laugh a little bit, I guess, or you have to laugh, otherwise you're crying. And I'm scared too. I think stuff is at risk. I got together with some high school friends on Wednesday night, and my friends with daughters are going to Target and stockpiling Plan B, and because they're afraid of what's going to happen for their daughters. So I'm kind
Okay.
of feel pleasantly surprised that some people I know weren't more obnoxious about his victory. I thought that I was going to get it rubbed in my face a little bit more, and I didn't see that. And I actually didn't really see that on Facebook, so I thought that was a pleasant surprise.
So quickly, John, and then quickly Ian, because
That's
we
okay.
don't have a
Somebody's
lot of time.
banging something around on their desk that's being picked up on their mics. If whoever's doing it could stop, it's driving me
I
mad.
think it's Linda McMahon, the new Secretary of Education.
She might be. No, I think Ian made a great point. I think that Trump took the protest vote from the Dems, right? If the Dems were the party of the left, the party of those not in power, the party of the little man, the party of those who are going to help those who need help, minority votes, whatever you want to call it, um, it is unbelievable how much those numbers are real, right? I mean, and it's black men, Latino men, whatever those groups. That seems very real to me, and there's something about that. There's something to be said there. I guess I don't know that anything else matter. I should have started my comment with just saying this. Above everything, I think the real answer, and I think Jim, you mentioned this to me before, is just it was inflation. I mean, it's hard to recover from inflation, and no matter how much it's Biden may have done the right thing, and we may have the economy in the U.S. that's the envy of the entire rest of the world. People aren't happy with whatever inflation there was.
Ian, quickly.
I don't agree that this country isn't ready for a woman. You said, I think Peggy said he was a vote against, we won't vote for a woman. Hillary won the popular vote. Hillary won the popular vote in 2016. More people voted for Hillary than for Trump, and it was only the college system that kept Hillary out. I just think Kamala ended up being in the end, not a good candidate. The way that she came to that position, and it just didn't work out for her. The effort she put in was second to none, I would say that. And as I say, when she first came on the scene, it was like a breath of fresh air, but the wind quickly went out of the sails.
No.
I think the folks were looking for something different, and she wasn't able to get that message across that she was going to be anything different, I guess. Shame, but I don't think it was a protest vote against women. I don't see it like that.
So, Ian, John asked, do you think the Dems should have run Hillary instead of Kamala?
Quick answer, because I'm going to say a few things and then we're going to end
They'd
this
have
segment.
probably done better.
I'm not sure
White.
that's true. I actually don't
Because
think
she's
that's
white.
true. But I don't think that's true. A few random thoughts. I agree with most of what everybody said. I would say a couple of things. In my opinion, Kamala Harris was a better candidate than I expected her to be. I thought she did as well as could be expected under the circumstances. I think to blame her for the loss is analogous to a football game where you're behind by 3 touchdowns. You put the backup quarterback in, you end up losing by a touchdown, and you say it was the backup quarterback's fault. The problem is we needed to get the aging quarterback who's lost his fastball out of the game a year or two earlier, and then we would have had a full primary. It is possible that Kamala wouldn't have won the nomination in a contested primary, and it's possible, and I think it's that someone who wasn't the vice president under Biden would have had a better chance of distinguishing themselves with the Biden record. Biden is a historically unpopular president. Whether that's deserved or not is an entirely separate topic. But he is a historically unpopular president. And I think the biggest reason for this election result is that it was a rejection of Biden. 4 of the last 5 presidential elections in this country have essentially been a rejection of the sitting president. 2008, 2016, 2020, and now 2024. If history teaches anything, the Democrats will come back swinging and at least take back the House in 2026 and possibly also the Senate. We'll see. I would also note center left parties throughout whatever we're calling Western civilization or whatever we're calling it these days are all having a very difficult time maintaining a majority. And of course, we're used to the post World War II consensus where they tended to be the governing parties for most of the time, except maybe in Germany. Another thing I would point out is that the result wasn't nearly as sweeping as some people have portrayed it. Yes, Trump won all the swing states, all 7 of the so-called swing states, but Biden won 6 of the 7 last time, and Trump won 6 of the 7 uh, in 2016. So the fact that all the swing states went one way was not really surprising. If you were following it very closely, you would figure that whichever way they broke, that's the way they were. I would also say that what has happened since then has been by turns farce and at times terrifying. But we'll see which plays out. We'll see. There is some indication that some members of the Senate may not be willing to give Trump everything he wants all the time. And one of the interesting players in that will be Mitch McConnell, who clearly hates Trump and who is no longer the leader of his party and is also probably not going to run for re-election in 2026. So he is a free agent, and he already clearly made it clear. He already made it clear. I'm sorry, he made it clear that he would not have voted to approve Matt Gaetz, which is one of the reasons why Gaetz stepped aside.
Speak up.
I would be either that's disagreement or not. I'm not sure. I would be surprised if Mitch McConnell votes to approve Robert F. Kennedy as Secretary of Health and Human Services. They do not see eye to eye on virtually any topic. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, we're going to take a break and come back and talk about AI.
Oh, wait, hold on. I got to do my thing. There is some dramatic piano.
Sorry about that. We
Don't
got an
talk when we're playing the music, okay? That's the whole point. Let's play the music again. This time, no one. John, of course, was the first one to talk.
I don't understand.
Let's play the music
Ready?
and nobody talk. That's the whole point of
Ready,
doing
go.
this.
Shelley,
hello.
welcome back.
Welcome back, everyone. We are going to start our second segment today, and I have the pleasure of leading a discussion. Everybody gets to be involved in this, and I want to hear your perspectives on AI and the use of AI. And first off, my disclaimer is I am not an expert in AI, but in some of our past conversations, there seemed to be some interest in how do I use it? Where is it? What are we doing with it? So, first of all, I wanted to ask everybody on the podcast, do you think you use AI now?
I'm sure we do. I mean, not deliberately, not thinking, oh, let me use Chat GPT or whatever it's called, but I'm sure when I type into a search box, AI is showing. I mean, I know sometimes it is showing up because it says AI delivered this answer. So I think we all use it, whether we know we are or not.
Right.
I agree with that.
Okay. Where do you think you use it the most? Whether you know it or not?
When I'm on the can, taking a shit.
Not.
Hilarious.
Okay. I should have been more specific with my question.
As long as Peggy is not more specific in her answer, I think we should avoid going more specific than Peggy was on that answer. But
So let's step back for a little bit. Do you think you have a good understanding of what AI is?
I say with confidence that I do not.
I do not.
Okay. So a little bit before I dive into some of the applications. It's really a complicated field, but it's been around since the 1950s, believe it or not. There is a guy named Alan Turing who did some initial work in this area. And it really boils down to two things. It's accumulation of data and then inputting that data into different algorithms that happen much faster than we can do as humans, doing things manually. So essentially taking that data, putting it in these algorithms, and then training an artificial device to be able to learn and grow on its own. So the more you use it, the smarter the device or the system gets without the need for reprogramming or doing all those things that we've traditionally had to do with computers. However, even though it's been around since the 1950s, it really wasn't until 2022 when this AI boom became more prominent because it became available to the public. AI has been used more in the private and tech sector. And so that's why we're kind of inundated with it right now. So some examples, Beth gave a couple of examples, but some of you I know in your homes might have Google Home, Alexa. I can't say the E word because it'll go off here. But yep, she's talking to me. So they are, and then actually Alexa's getting ready to release, Amazon's getting ready to release a new one that uses Claudia AI, which is a newer version, a smarter version, and instead of it's going to interact with home and tech. So there's a lot of movement happening in this already. Siri on your phone, your iPhone, for those iOS users, that is more of, it's not an AI in and of itself, but it uses natural processing learning, language learning, which is similar. So when you use your face to open your phone, use 50,000 biometrics measurements. That's part of AI. Social media, all those annoying ads that you get repeatedly when you look up a sweatshirt you want. And then all of a sudden you're seeing sweatshirt ads from the Gap and everybody other place, even though you didn't look those up. AI is all behind that.
So what about yesterday at Thanksgiving dinner when my brother-in-law was recommending a great British police detective series on BritBox, and the next ad on my Facebook feed when I got home was BritBox sale 2 months for blah, blah, blah. That's my phone listening to me and generating that?
Exactly. Yep.
That's not true. That's not true.
It's totally true, John. It is totally true. Our phones listen to us.
They do, but they're listening. They're limited what they're listening for.
Does Peggy's phone listen to her when she's in the can?
Right.
No question.
Bad for her phone. Then,
she gets all these toilet paper advertisements and hand soap and
Gas X.
all right.
Ian, you're muted. You got to unmute yourself. Your mic was picking up Shelly. Unmute yourself and the little button on the bottom next to the thing. I can't do it.
See
I
your
can only
name.
mute. I can't unmute. Thanks. Sorry. And now you have the floor to yourself because I screwed you over by muting you up. Ooh, I like that big finger.
You sure you did it and AI didn't do it?
No, that was me. Was Ian going to say something bad about AI? It's coming
No.
together.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, that's the camera.
AI has just
The other
canceled
one.
Ian from the podcast.
Oh boy. That's not good.
Love it.
The other thing is, how many of you have
Does Ian often go dark like that when you guys are hanging out? Does he just disappear when you're...
sometimes? Yes, sometimes.
A little alarming, actually.
The other thing is, do you have Nest phones or Ring smart refrigerators? Those
So I don't do any of that stuff. My brother has the whole home system. He can change the color of his light bulbs.
Mm-hmm.
He can turn them on before he gets home. I have none of that. I don't have any Alexa or any of that. I don't use Siri. The house I bought, they had Ring doorbells. They're not activated, so the little doorbell camera looks like it's still there and working, but all that stuff terrifies me. And I'm not a criminal. I'm not doing anything wrong, but nobody needs to be,
So
all the stuff I'm doing. So I'm definitely very cautious about all this stuff.
We'd all like to know all the stuff you're doing, Beth. I think I speak for all of us when I say we all want to know stuff.
And Ian, you were going to say something.
It was just John's dismissal of Beth's statement that the phone's listening to her, because I'd have said, yeah, I think it is. So John, explain to me why you don't think...
Oh no, it's listening for There's a really good podcast called Hard Fork from the New York Times. That's a tech podcast. The two guys, and they devoted an entire episode to that. And they talk to experts, but the phone is listening for, hey, you know what, right? It's listening for that because if it hears it, it's not listening to everything you say and it's not recording everything you say.
But it's got to be listening to everything you say because it's looking.
Yeah, but it doesn't. Right, and listening. Right, but listening. Right. So it hears it. I feel like listening is a little more than just hearing it. Right, it's hearing it. It's listening for that specific phrase, that's trigger phrase, but it's not storing it or anything else. I mean, listen, I've heard stories like Beth said a million times, and I think that those things do happen. But I also just think there are kind of, there might have been an email blast going out that Beth's brother may have seen, and then he saw it first, and then he talked about it, and then she saw it because it went out. Things like that happen all the time. But I don't think you need.
But he's not on social media.
I don't think. Well, I know, but he gets email. I'm sure he gets email. It's not social media. I mean, most of the marketing that's done now is done straight in your inbox. I mean, look at all. I mean, I spend like a good number of Sundays just unsubscribing to things. They're definitely listen. It's definitely listening, but I don't know. I mean, there are limits to what it can do, right? As Shelley was explaining it really well. It's not. It's doing. The thing that it's doing is the thing that it's doing. It's not doing anything more. There's no big brain behind it more than that. There's that thing that it does, and it does it really well. And I mean, I always think also about for the big players, for the Amazons, Apples, Googles of the world, and Microsofts and OpenAIs now, I guess, there's a huge reputational risk to it getting out that they're recording everything you say and memorizing it and know who you are and have built a dossier on you. They're not going to do that. They're
No,
just
and
not going to do that.
Yeah, I don't think they're recording everything we say. First of all, there's not enough storage space to do all that. And I do think that there's some good use. I'm not like totally anti AI. There's benefits of what AI has done to screen for cancers. They can screen a mammogram and have a much higher success rate of finding an early cancer than any trained technician can do. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some stunning stuff that AI can do. So I'm not like, I don't want to come across as like we shouldn't have it, but I do worry. And also to your point, John, somebody is collecting this data and training. And so what happens? And when we just glibly click this, yes, I accept your terms and conditions, how many people are reading that to see I've now given this group or company or whatever access to these things? And that's how they train the machines. And I just went through a big security clearance training because I started a new job, part-time job, and I had to go through all this stuff because they have contracts with the Department of Energy. So I'm super happy they made me go through this training, but it reinforced all this, like these AI elaborate phishing schemes. When you click on terms and conditions, what you're giving access to, and what if a bad actor gets that? And so that's, again, like, I'm not personally worried in a sense, but it does scare me that all this information is getting gathered and what could ultimately happen to it.
Yeah, and I think, Beth, you set up the next section that I was going to touch on a little bit. So I just wanted to touch on initially what was our everyday exposure and what that feels like, and then out in the world, from the financial, from healthcare, how is it being used? And in healthcare, it's being used a lot. From mammograms, from automated patient reminders, from following up on different diagnostic tests in an automated way. There has to be a human involved, but there are a lot of surgeries. Robotic surgery has been happening. Da Vinci is one of them, for example, that's been happening. And they're building on that to build in AI mechanisms that the surgeon can't get in, but a robot with finer techniques can. And so there's a lot of different things from the healthcare standpoint. There are barriers to this, right? It's not perfect and it's in its infancy, but in healthcare, the biggest barrier is how do you address the privacy and the protection with HIPAA and all that data, and then the complexity of the human body. We don't know how the body works. we think we do. So all of that technology has to be developed around that. You also mentioned another thing that came up recently with the scams that happen, and particularly this time of year, there are scam artists that focus on the elderly. And I don't know how many of you saw the little article recently on, I think it was in the New York Times, on Daisy Harris, the sweet little grandma who's actually a chatbot. And this is a British technology company put this together. This just came out a couple days ago. She even has a cat named Fluffy. And the goal of this is to get scammers on the line long enough and waste their time, like they're wasting people's time, to slow down them getting another person who might be vulnerable. So it's not a fix. It's kind of a weak Band-Aid.
I love it.
But yeah,
get them with their taste of their own medicine.
Exactly. Yep. And so this kicked off. It's AI in a British phone company started doing it. So I thought that was a really cool way of protecting people using AI in telecommunications and technology.
Yeah, Shelley, there's a guy, I read an article in the Wall Street Journal last year about that, about there was a guy in like Phoenix who was using these to create just some, it wasn't necessarily a granny, but it was just a voice that would automatically answer your phone for you and would just start a conversation and keep them chit chatting forever. It's, I mean, you had to pay for it, which I think, like, how angry must you be at telemarketers to be willing to pay for that service?
Right.
But I did think it was kind of cool. I did think it was very cool.
Exactly. And I'll give one more example because I'm not sure where we are with time, Jim.
We have plenty
Oh,
of.
you're good. You're
You're
good.
good? Okay. In financial services, when you think about your personal finances and um, online trading and making any kind of financial decisions, healthcare decisions also is another one. So, like, let's go with open enrollment happens with companies right now, and some of them have a built-in chat bot. We do at my company. His name's Alex, or it's Alex. And you put in your variables, and it will tell you if, okay, yes, you're appropriate to consider an FSA or an HSA, or you're appropriate to consider this type of health insurance based on you expect to get sick, or that kind of different algorithms built in. So it can help guide you. Um, you can also use it for planning your retirement planning. What are your goals? There are all different types, because going to seeing a person and paying for a financial um, advisor it can be costly, and a majority of people can't afford that. So it gives additional options to people who want to think about this, who might not have that available to them.
Yeah, the software is called Jolly Roger. You can get it if you want it. It's pretty. It's pretty. I did a little demo, and they have articles about it everywhere, but it's pretty great. You
And
can
what
do it.
does that do, John?
So
Jolly Roger?
it's like you would use it the way you used to use your phone, an answering machine, right? It answers your phone for you, and then it starts talking as if it's a person. Doesn't say who it is, and then if it's a telemarketer, it just like keeps talking to them. And it just like asks inane questions. Oh, the article in the Wall Street Journal was hilarious because it does sound like a kind of a crotchety old person who kind of goes off on tangents and tells stories. It's so great. It is like great. I mean, no, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know who would actually buy this, but I think it's great. But Shell, I want to just say one other thing about the AI thing. Like, I feel like, I mean, everything's AI now, right? Any computer that any computer software company or anybody does anything, they call it AI. And like you say, it's been around for a long time. But the new thing that's really recent is the way we are all using generative AI. I mean, it is amazing. I mean, there's just no question, and it keeps improving week by week. The difference. If you ask the same question to Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini or any one of the other, the ones you can grab out there. What's that one in the British one? Kitty or something? Chat Kitty. Every week they come up with different answers, and they're better, and it gets better. I mean, it's just really improving at a rapid rate, and for me, it reveals in writing how much of what we write is just really generic. We really don't write very fresh, cliche-free, innovative writing, because to get to that good writing, they can't do that, because all it's doing is it's repeating what it hears, like regressing to the mean and what we normally would say. But for me, it's made the value of really good writing even more valuable.
Yeah, and I should have started off saying we're talking about generative AI. That's really what's hitting us in this 2022 world. But it is, you're right. There are a ton out there. Jim, you have a question.
Yeah, I just
Comment.
wanted to ask because I mean, I don't know how representative of anything the group we have on the podcast is, but like I think most of us, and perhaps most people, I'm sure use AI unconsciously, as we've already described it. But John, of anyone I know, you are the person who, by far, of anyone I know, maybe there are people I know that I haven't found this out about them, who uses it sort of consciously. And I'm interested to know whether using it the way you do, which is, you're engaging in AI, you're consciously doing it often, and you've talked about it. Does it make you any less or more worrisome about these potential negative consequences?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, it's
Which way does it affect you?
well, I mean, it's for me personally, it is it's increased my productivity by a order of magnitude or two. I mean,
How
it's
so? Can you give an example?
well, I can give it you can upload a 1,000-page book and tell it to find a line, and it'll tell you. You can not only tell it to find a line, so it's not just a search. You can tell it to find a theme. You can say, give me all the places in this huge manuscript I'm giving you where it alludes to anything that might sound like a metaphor, about floral things. Or, I mean, you can, it does instantly what it would take a human, a long time to do.
So what it
So
strikes
I
me
mean,
is that feature would have helped Beth tremendously in college when she was trying to write those papers on books she didn't actually read. Because
Excuse me, as I've stated before, I had, it's worse now, but had a photographic memory. So if John said, when did they talk about the gray sky and the
that's
soft
true.
rain, I would have said page 74, it's on the left side, it was the second paragraph down. So I had that brain, and I actually read all my books because I didn't know you weren't supposed to read all your books.
Excuse me,
So
Beth.
there.
Well, if you hadn't read the book, there was a book you hadn't read, that would be helpful, because then you could cherry pick the information you needed to write your essay, right?
Pegger?
Well, the other, I know Peg's got a question too, but John, to your point, I'm hearing from some people that colleges aren't asking for essays anymore because they can't tell if a kid's actually written it or not. Like in high school, my niece and nephew just had to read Frankenstein and write about it, and they both did. And but if there, a lot of colleges are applying to, they're not asking for essays because they can't tell whether the kid's written it or they've had some AI program write it. And I've had friends, you guys know my friend who came to dinner at John's house, who's in communications, and he says they've stopped hiring interns over the summer for communications because they can just get these general letters cranked out by AI. And Peg, jump in.
Peg, yeah.
So yeah, what I'm going to say is not that newsworthy, but I used it for the first time. With the
That
chat,
is newsworthy.
the
Were you
chat
in the bathroom
GBT,
at the time when you did it?
and I was trying to write a poem for my 80-year-old mother-in-law's birthday to tell her we were taking her on a trip, and somebody said use chat GBT, and I was like, how do you do that? And they said you just put it into Google. It's like, so I did, and then I was dying. I mean, I was laughing hysterically at these poems that this thing churned out, and then I would change it from like 2 words to like girls trip, or I'd add World War II museum in New Orleans, and it wrote some, and then it said stuff like your soul is like gumbo. Stew, it's warm, and I was dying. So anyway, I got 3 versions.
You have ears like Dumbo, I think, right? Was that one of them?
I got 3 versions, and I took the best out of all 3 and made a decent poem. And then we presented it to her, and she read it, and she was like, "Who wrote this?" So I was
full credit, right, Peggy?
yeah, I was like, this tool is crazy, and I would have cheated my way through school if I would have had it, because it was amazing. So then I mentioned to somebody, I told this same story, and they were like, "Oh, I use it all the time. I make PowerPoint presentations with it." So I was like, "Oh, wow!" And I just don't have that kind of job. I'm not making PowerPoint presentations. So yeah, it seems like it does make, like to John's point, life could be a little more efficient.
I've used it similarly the way John has, slightly different. But if I have a journal article that I didn't get a chance to read, but I just need the high level, I can just type the name of the article in, and it gives me bullet point summaries. Or if I'm looking up what research what area of research they focus on, it'll give me their whole listing of publications. So I don't have to go to PubMed and pull all of those things. I've created amazing graphics like a spiral DNA with a Wonder Woman cape on it. You just type in what you're trying to do and to put into your slide deck. I've asked it for unique interviewing questions because I interview people a lot and I'm tired of the same old questions and they just give a little few tweaks. So I've used it a fair bit. We have some limitations at work with how and when we could use it for work related, which are all the obvious things. But I find it a good way to say, oh yeah, that is a kind of a better way to phrase that or say something. Do you think you all will start using it more now?
I use it.
I'll probably try it out. I have a couple upcoming projects. I might deliberately, like you said, look for it and say, especially around interview questions. That's a good something I hadn't thought of. So
yeah, it's fun to play around with it, and there are a ton of courses. Before we wind up here, there's a ton of free AI courses to play around with that you can do online through different groups.
Ian has been strangely silent. Why are you not talking, Ian?
I was listening. AI.
Ian's actually a bot. He's not real.
Right. This isn't really me. Yeah, I'm trying to.
You'll do till the real one comes along.
I'm trying to avoid AI. I'm 18 months from retirement, I think, and it's like I can get away with this without having to learn all this stuff. I mean, my biggest challenge with AI is asking the right questions, because some of the answers I get, that's not what I asked. Yeah, Elanco has a Elanco GPT, and I asked it a question about the election, and our version said, yeah, Kamala wasn't a candidate in the election. That's how good our GPT is. No, yes, she was. He still had Joe Biden as the candidate. So whoever's updating it, I must have the slow version of GPT.
That was the Russian hackers trying to spread disinformation.
Yes.
Okay, well, I think that wraps up our AI section for today. Thanks for the chat.
We'll be back after the break.
Welcome back. As Jim said in the intro, today is November 29th. It is also Black Friday. And we were deliberate that we were going to do a little piece on Black Friday. And we had some sort of funny amongst us discussions about our wardrobe inventory. So I will get to that in a minute. But Black Friday was originally not related to shopping. It was the crash of the gold market on September 24th, 1869. Jay Gould and John Fisk, I think it was John Fisk, tried to corner the gold market and wanted to make a big profit. And so they were buying up gold, and then somebody figured it out, and the gold market crashed, and that was the first known use of the term Black Friday. Then in the 50s, the Army-Navy game used to always be played in Philadelphia on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So hordes of people would come into Philly to watch this game. The police hated it because it was the Thanksgiving holiday and they all had to be on duty because of all the traffic. And there also happened to be some shoplifting going on because people were taking advantage of so many people coming into the city. So it was a term that the Philadelphia police used. And then finally in the 80s, the retailers started thinking about how can we use this term. Colloquially, they say it's related to company or retailers are in the red until Thanksgiving, and then they make all their profits the last month. Some people say that's true, some people don't. But that's where the term, how it's changed over time. But we know Black Friday to mean everybody, well, not everybody. That's how we started this discussion. How many people take advantage of Black Friday? The other thing, as you probably all know, is it's now morphed into like a 4-day thing. So you have Black Friday, You have Cyber Monday, which started up in the late 90s, early aughts, when people didn't have good computer access at home. So on Mondays, they go into the office and use the free work internet to do all their buying. And then the charities jumped on and decided to make Giving Tuesday, like, hey, you guys are opening your wallets, so why don't you give to us? It's end of year giving, and have very successfully, that's what's in my inbox, John, is all these Giving Tuesday opportunities. But we were joking about, oh, are we going to be able to record this today? Or are we all going to be out at the mall buying our 84-inch screen, TV or whatever? And we all agreed we would actually be available to record this because we weren't doing that. But then it led to a conversation, I don't even remember how, of how many pairs of shoes we own. And I do believe that the women on the podcast own more pairs of shoes. We had some clarification texts about what counts as a shoe. I just realized that I forgot to include the slippers in my count. And I also asked some clarifying questions on the second piece too, but I will start. So if I add my slippers, I have 39 pairs of shoes, boots, slippers in my collection.
How many?
39.
Oh, wow.
So, Peggy, how many did you tally up?
Including slippers and boots and shoes that I keep in my garage to work in my yard, I have exactly 100 pairs of shoes.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You actually counted them?
We were taught, John, that was part of the pre-planning for
I
this.
just estimated based on whatever. I can, okay.
All right.
Oh,
Jim.
sorry, no estimates allowed. No.
3 or 4?
Jim, you're muted.
Jim, you're muted.
I guess. I don't hear you at least.
Am I here now?
Yeah.
3.
Okay.
No. I wear like 3 different pair a day.
I do too. I have the dog walking
An hour.
shoes. I have the slippers in the house. I have, if I'm going out to do something, shoes.
Yeah, I don't wear slippers.
Okay.
I don't know why you would have a separate pair of shoes for dog walking, but
Well, because we go
I
in.
don't walk a dog. So.
Yeah, if I'm going in the woods or if I'm going in the
If I
neighborhood.
were doing that, I would wear my sneakers. So, you know.
If you were doing that, we'd have to call 911.
I have gone walking in the woods once with Beth when she was taking the dog. So I did that once.
John, how many pairs of shoes do you have?
I have 25 is what I counted, but a large number of those are shoes that I just haven't thrown away that I never ever put on. They're sitting in a box. So I assume we're going to get to this, but we're going to talk about like what's your average in a day or in a week. How many do you wear in a given week? Like that to me is another interesting metric.
Yeah, that's okay that they're shoes you never wear. That's the majority of mine are like that.
Okay.
So, Shelley, I think you might be the winner in this category, although Ian could be, the surprise that we weren't counting on.
It depends how you define winner, but I would like to think so. I have 156.
Okay.
Wow, 50%.
Ian can top that.
No, 27. 27 with 3 pairs of slippers, Jim. So if you ever want slippers,
I don't really understand the purpose of slippers, honestly. But
Oh, I
wear
have them on
socks
right
around the
now.
house?
I have them on.
They're cozy.
I either wear bare feet or I walk around in my socks.
So if you're barefoot,
Barefoot.
it's fine. But if you're in
Yeah.
your socks, you're going to get a lot of holes in socks.
So you buy.
Have you
socks.
seen Jim's wardrobe
If you're
in
a wasteful
general?
person who just wants to throw away society and live in a throwaway world, then fine. But if you want to
Don't
preserve
slippers? I mean, you guys have like way more shoes than I have, and you're accusing me of being like a overly consumptive.
we just have
Well,
to
I guess that's the
find-
point. If I have 5 pairs of slippers, but I buy 1/50th the number of socks,
I don't think
who's
you buy
wasting?
1/50th the number of socks somehow, but
Really? Okay.
how many? We'll count socks, John. I bet you probably have more socks than I have.
So, to John's point a minute ago, he's right about there's different uses and there's backup shoes that we save. And there's I have 1 pair of classic black suede pumps. So if I have to go to a funeral, those are my funeral shoes. So they're in their box, they're on a shelf in the closet. Hopefully they don't get worn too often. but those, like, I'm never going to get rid of them. Shoes generally always fit you.
Right.
So it's not like my foot's going to get bigger or smaller in, the next 10 years or whatever. But then we were also in our text thread talking about, like, well, there's the I'm cutting the grass pair of sneakers, or my hiking shoes are wet, so here's my backup pair of hiking shoes. And Jim does not cut the grass or hike, so these are not.
Nodding his head.
At one time, I will say this. At one time, I had 2 pairs of sneakers because I was traveling a lot more then, and I used to have 1 pair that I would just keep in the suitcase for traveling. So that I did have at one time 2 pairs of sneakers. But
How about shoe
that wasn't.
repair? Shoe repair. Does anybody go and get their?
I have tried to get shoes repaired, but it's almost, in my case, it's almost more expensive, I found, to get the shoe, or as expensive to get the shoe repaired as to buy another pair of shoes.
It is.
So.
Ian, I am so glad you brought that up. I have a great cobbler I used to use and have had shoes resold several times if I like the shoe and it's going to be worthy of spending another $30 or $40 to get it resold. But I also like supporting this little guy who still runs a shoe repair shop. So tell us about your cobbler experience, Ian.
My dad was a cobbler. So I do it for exactly the same reason. There's this little Mexican guy and he's got this little cobbler. And I just want to support him. And so I get my shoes repaired all the time by this guy. I used to go into my dad's workshop, and the smells of the leather and the glues and everything. I just love going in there. I got a little high just going into the cobbler's shop.
So can I ask another question? And I hope this doesn't offend anyone. What is the average amount you guys pay for a pair of shoes?
I was just going to talk about that. I was going to say I had a pair of boots. I live in Chicago, and in Chicago in the winter, if you don't have a pair of winter shoes that can handle salt and snow and ice, you are going to basically throw your shoes out every spring because you're going to trash a pair of shoes every year. And I did that for years because I just didn't know any better, and I bought cheap shoes. I bought, $40 pairs of gym shoes, and I wore them all winter, and I just threw them away. They were literally disintegrated by the spring. And my husband bought a pair of Uggs, which I thought at the time were fancy, and obviously were bought by a private equity firm, and then they optimized them into a piece of crap. But these Uggs, I'll never forget this, they were boots that he had that had like stitching on the bottom of them, but the whole shoe came off, and it was clear that the stitching was just a plastic design around it. And I was like, these weren't super cheap, but they were completely fake. Like the stitching was completely, there's nothing to cobble. There's nothing to repair because there's no stitching to repair. It's just glued on piece of plastic on the bottom. So I recently bought a new pair of winter boots because I lost my pair of winter boots that I had for 12 years. I wore every winter. And they were I think they were Doc Martens. I had them every year for 12 years. I wore them all winter.
How do you lose a pair of boots?
No, they fell apart. I didn't lose them. I'm sorry. I misspoke. They fell apart. They disintegrated. It's been 12 years. They fell apart. So I was like, I'm not buying a pair of crap shoes. So I went and bought a pair of $450 shoes. It's the most I've ever spent on a pair of shoes, which I'm sure is going to pale in comparison. It's going to sound like nothing to Shelley. But I spent $450 a pair of shoes, and I'm very happy with them so far. They're obviously real. Like I can tell, I look closely. But these I might actually consider cobbling or repairing. All the other shoes I have are they're not worth repairing. There's nothing to repair. You just glue them. I mean, there's nothing to be done anymore, I don't think.
I guess I hear you when you pay more for shoes. Yeah, they're worth cobbling versus the cheaper ones. But if I have a cheaper pair of shoes that I just love, and I think that there is some way some smart person can fix it, believe me, because I've tried. I've super glued stuff on my shoes. I've done a lot of I have not gone the duct tape route yet, but
I did that.
But but if sometimes you can't find that cheap shoe that you love again, so you want to give it a little bit more life.
Now, I had a great pair, to John's point of when you have snow and ice, I had a great pair of Northwest snow boots that were North Face, were perfect. Now we can get them to sponsor us. They were perfect. They lasted 12 years, and one Snowmageddon, it started to come apart. So I took my duct tape because I needed to finish shoveling and duct tape my shoe. And then I brought it to my cobbler, and he very gently explained to me that it was glued, not stitched, and I had to mourn the loss of these boots, but he could not fix them. So now I pay attention to that too, John, whether it's stitched or glued, and make that kind of equation of, am I going to understand that this might last 2 winters and not 12? So
yeah, I buy expensive shoes and boots. I'm talking shoes anywhere between for boots and shoes anywhere between 150 and 500. And that's only because my dad buy quality shoes.
Yeah.
And then I get them cobbled, and but that's just an emotional thing, I guess. But more than anything, I just do it because.
yeah.
No, sorry. I was going to say shoes can be really cheap, but I don't like it. I feel like I'm betraying my dad.
Yeah.
The older I get, the better shoes I buy, mostly because
You have the money.
no, but because I can tell the difference. So like
Yeah.
when
Right.
Jim doesn't understand about slippers, I need to have slippers that have an arch in them so I can cook in those, and my feet, it helps my back, and you can it has a little sole on it so I can walk to my mailbox and get my mail, or so you spend more money because it's worth it for your body and your feet, that you notice your aches and pains.
So you're just
More.
avoiding the word orthopedic?
Yes.
That's right.
I'm not there yet.
Nobody else is sick on this call, Jim. So get some slippers.
Well, thank you for the diagnosis. And I'm sorry, I feel like I've let your father down, and I really do feel bad about that, because he's probably a nice guy, and I probably would have liked him if I had met him.
Yeah, Eric.
Was his name Eric?
Yeah.
With a K or a C?
See.
Oh, good.
What was his favorite thing to do when he wasn't working?
Smoke a pipe.
See, my father used to smoke a pipe, so I can get into it.
So I have a question. Maybe Ian can answer this, or one of you guys, or maybe Beth can, given that you're looking for shoes that are better made. Like, I guess part of my point in my earlier story about Ted, my husband's shoes, like falling apart and there being no stitching where it looked like there was stitching, is that
We were wondering what the point was.
There was realistic.
Yeah,
thanks. There was realistic fake stitching on there. Like, I don't know, how do you tell if they're real other than they're expensive? How do you tell that they're real? Like, I mean, do you have just faith in your ability to look at a shoe and go, this is a high quality shoe, and not like, I mean, I have the same problem with clothes. I have a friend in Barcelona who every time I wore something cheap was like, oh my God, John. And every time I wore something expensive, he'd be like, wow, that looks great. And I was like, how the hell can you tell? I can't tell. It all looks the same to me. I just thought it looked nice. But like, how do you tell if a shoe's good?
I have a brand. I buy Fry boots, Fry shoes. They've got a whole range. I like them, the quality. So,
the brand.
Yeah, the brand.
And Ian was willing to serve as a commercial spokesman.
Yeah,
if you're willing to advertise on this podcast.
That's right.
Are you listening, Fry?
I asked ChatGPT for the best brands, and Fry came up as one of the best brands.
No, I do research. I definitely do research, because I also try not to buy things, which is hard, things made in China. So if something is made in China, I then research the company and see if they have labor inspectors and what their reputation is, if there's, their working conditions. So yeah, I do a little more research, and I've been fooled too. I've bought things where I've expected more and been disappointed, but the other thing we also counted was how many coats and jackets we have.
Can I ask you one more question related to that, Beth? So if you're in, I don't know, DSW or Nordstrom, and you see a pair of shoes you want, do you immediately then go online and do the research right then and there?
No, so one thing I do, sometimes I'll I need a new pair of running shoes. So I have a brand that usually works for me. So for that, because to Peggy's point, I'm at the age where I need the shoe to work for me. I need to be comfortable, have the right support. So I usually just go back and do that. And believe me, running shoes made in China. There's nothing I can do about it. That's where they're made. But if I'm buying, something like if I was getting a new pair of leather boots or whatever, I would probably go to Fry, that kind of thing. I'd just do the research to see, like, okay, and then ask the question, do I really need it? But the other thing, like my shoes and even in my jackets, like I've got stuff in the closet that's 20 years old. So if I also try to be into not fast fashion, like intentional of, okay, I like this today. It'll look cute at the party, but do I need it? And will it still look cute at the party 20 years from now, kind of thing? Yes, Jim.
I have a question because you and Peggy both alluded to the fact that at this time in your life, you needed to have the shoe be comfortable. So that implies that there were times in your life when you were younger where you bought shoes and wore them and they were uncomfortable. Is that correct?
100%. 100 blisters.
And I look, I get that we live in a fucked up world where women have to go through all this shit that they shouldn't have to go through, but that just to me makes no sense whatsoever.
Well, I never had a lot of pairs of heels, so it wasn't heels, but I also, as we discovered on the Camino episode, I apparently have tender feet. So even when I wear shoes
all
that
the
I haven't
say that, yes, Beth, but
when I wear shoes that I haven't worn since last summer, I know I'm going to get another blister. So, but yes, definitely when I was in my 20s, I was buying shoes I thought looked cute but weren't comfortable.
And I got rid of all of my high Hoochie Mama heels.
She had a crazy selection of high Hoochie Mama shoes.
They
wow.
were
Now,
the
can
envy
I
of
ask
everyone.
Ian and John, have you guys ever bought shoes
Worn
and
high
worn
heels?
them that were not comfortable, that you wore because they look good, but they weren't comfortable?
Hell yes.
John,
of
you're
course.
saying yes. I've
Well,
never done
Unquestionably,
Jim, and
many
sometimes you
times.
buy them and you don't realize they're not going to be comfortable.
Yeah,
You think,
absolutely.
you hope, but you're.
Don't you try them on before you
No,
buy
Yeah,
Jim,
them?
that's
people
not
will
really
you
safe
try
to
them
break
them
on.
in. You break them in, and they're
Walk around the store, they feel fine, and then you wear them to work that day, and you're walking from the subway to the office, and you're like, oh God, I hope I have a Band-Aid in my desk drawer because I now have a blister.
Yeah, most dress shoes need breaking in. You can't put the one for the first
I mean,
day.
I understand that concept of breaking in a shoe, but it's still, I don't, yeah, okay.
Okay,
well, no, breaking in a shoe is
listeners,
literally.
Jim owns a pair of Docksiders and a pair of sneakers, so he's not breaking in anything.
Well, I do have a pair of loafers that are dress shoes that I wear that you have to break those in.
Slightly. They're not like the nice lace-up dress shoes that Ian's talking about.
Thanks,
I'm
Beth.
sorry.
So I have a
Sorry.
question about these.
You saying you don't like my loafers, Beth? They're not
I'm
nice?
just saying that you haven't had the same experience as the rest of us.
Clearly. That is why I'm asking questions, because I don't have that
So
experience.
John and Ian and your $450 Doc Martens, and do you do anything to prepare your shoes for a brutal winter? For example, I still put saddle soap on my boots and do that. I don't polish them. My dad was a big shoe polisher, and he used to polish my shoes, and I don't do that. But I definitely put saddle soap on leather to prepare it for the winter.
Yep, saddle soap for the boots in the winter, and I love polishing shoes. Honestly, it's just like, oh yeah, I'm zen.
I'm bringing mine next time I come to Indy. I love that, and I love the way it smells. When you talked about the smell, I love the smell of shoe polish.
I should do that. That's a good idea. I like the idea that I'm buying a shoe that's good and reliable and built, but I know you need to care for them. The shoes I bought, Peggy, were Allen Edmonds, and I know that they're made in Port Washington, Wisconsin, which fortunately, for those of you on the call who know my friend Bradley, that's where he's from, and it prompted me to reach out to an old friend, and I had a great conversation. But but the Allen Edmonds they're great shoes. They're really, I don't know, they're well built. And Beth, to your point about China. I try to avoid more than just, obviously China is virtually impossible to avoid completely, but I really have been trying lately to avoid Xinjiang products or goods that come out of Xinjiang. And because, there's just no question. It's basically slave labor that's coming out of there. It's forced education camps where they're making people work for free. And the article I saw, 2 days ago in the New York Times about how, Trump threatening the trade war with China is getting China to retaliate. And the way they're retaliating is they're going after, they named two companies in the article. They named Marky Mark. What was he dressed in when he was on that billboard years ago?
Calvin Klein.
Calvin
Klein and one other company apparently stopped using Xinjiang products, and so China refused to let them come, work through China anymore. And I thought, this is kind of great. Like now I know, like they were. Now I know that they were getting stuff from Xinjiang, and they're not anymore. So it makes me makes me like them more. But it's maybe one of these silver linings for the coming trade war. But I do think Xinjiang's as much of a problem as a lot of places in China. But I don't know.
So let's just get the count on the coats, even if we don't have time to talk about it.
30.
35.
7.
Are we talking red coats? I've got a lot of red coats.
Not suit coats, not blazers.
No, it's like outer coats.
Outerwear, like, yeah.
Did you get the British, the red coats?
11.
Yeah. 35.
Who's Shelley, did you say?
62.
Okay. I have 3.
I have one of them. One of them you left here, Jim.
Oh, that's right. That's right. If you count the one that's in Chicago.
I have the blue one. I keep holding it. I'm going to mail it. You told me not to mail it, but I'm like, I got to go to New York.
I have 3 other coats, so what do I need that one for?
Shelly has one of mine. I have 31.
I was going to say your poncho.
The Cubs poncho.
So, Shelley, were you counting her poncho among the 62?
Absolutely not.
All of this conversation dates from our last recorded podcast, which has not yet been published. So hopefully it will be published before this one is published. So avid listeners will understand what the references are. We're going to do a quick quiz because one of the things that also came up in the last episode, which has not yet been published. So, Ian, you probably don't know about this. I know you're an avid listener. Is we were discussing who the hottest man in the world was. Amazingly, your name did not come up, Ian. I was betting that you would be named, but...
Well, I don't trust the polls these days.
Okay. There is a semi-official source that we can turn to because for the 40th time, People magazine recently announced the sexiest man alive.
And that's so wrong. It's so wrong. John Krasinski, or whatever his name is, he is not sexy.
And the first time they did this in 1985, does anybody remember who the first sexiest man alive was?
George Clooney.
No.
Tom Cruise.
What year?
No.
What year?
Mel Gibson.
Oh.
All right, but that's not really our quiz. I have 4 questions. First question is, all of the people named sexiest man alive have been entertainers, performers, or an occasional sports star, except for one. One person back in 1988 was not an entertainer, not a performer, not a sports person. Any idea who that is? I'll give you another hint. This person is no longer with us.
What year?
1988.
No clue.
Okay? Very famous family this person comes from.
JFK Jr.
JFK Jr.
Ah, okay.
Good one, Peg.
All right.
All right. In 1994, for unknown reasons, People magazine did not name a sexiest man of the year, but then they went back like 25 years later and retroactively picked someone. They picked this dude to be the sexiest man of 1994. Any idea who that was?
Tom Cruise.
Whose excellent adventure they picked for the sexiest man alive?
Oh, Keanu Reeves. Keanu
Reeves.
Retrospectively, apparently he was the sexiest man alive. Okay, there are 4 people who have been named sexiest man of the year twice. Who are they?
Twice.
George Clooney and...
George Clooney's 1.
Brad Pitt.
Brad
Pitt is 2.
Tom Cruise.
Not Tom Cruise.
Denzel Washington.
Nope.
Chris Evans.
Ryan Gosling.
Nope.
Andrew Garfield.
Ryan Reynolds.
No.
Paul Newman.
No.
Sean Connery.
No.
Wait, how many do we have?
Olivia.
2?
You have 2 of the 4.
Harrison Ford.
No. The other 2 are
Daniel Craig.
Gere.
Richard Gere.
And Mel Gibson.
Johnny Depp.
And Johnny Depp. Yeah, I love that guy.
Now, one of those 4 was actually named, the only time they did this, as part of the sexiest couple alive.
Brad Pitt.
Brangelina.
No, it was not Brad Pitt.
George Clooney.
No, it was not George Clooney.
Oh, Kelly Ripa and her husband.
No, it
Mark.
was one of the four people who
Richard,
did
Oh.
who was
it.
Richard Gere married to? Was he married?
I
Cindy
don't know.
Crawford.
Al
Cindy Crawford.
McPherson
Richard Gere
was
and Cindy
thinking,
Crawford.
yeah.
I don't know if they were married, but they were together.
Oh, I
They
dated
were.
Cindy
Okay.
Crawford's sister.
Last question. How many people who've played 007, Ian, you should be good at this. How many people who've played 007 have been named Sexiest Man of the Year?
3.
2.
2.
Who
Oh.
are they?
Well, definitely Pierce Brosnan.
Sean
Pierce
Connery.
Brosnan,
And the
Sean
new
Connery.
guy.
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery and Pierce Brosnan.
That's-
I can't believe the new guy hasn't been, who's now the old guy.
Oh, Daniel Craig. Yeah.
He's hot, man. He's
He is
so
hot.
hot. He's very
But
hot.
he is
Although I don't like his
not
long hair.
the sexiest man alive, apparently. Who would you vote for sexiest man alive, Beth?
We did this.
Oh,
Didn't
is
we
it
talk
same as
about this?
hottest? Is that the same as hottest?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with you, Beth.
I don't know. What do I know? I only own 3 pairs of shoes, so what do I know? All right, I think we're done. Who's wrapping up?
I guess. Who wants to do it?
You, John.
Oh,
You were
thanks for
assigned to
listening,
do it.
everybody. We love when you listen to us. We are going to try to get this out quickly this time. So thanks for listening, and we'll
Probably
catch you next
before the one before it that has all the references so that this one would make
Exactly,
sense.
because otherwise it's like a circus of confusion, timeline stuff. It's like a Marvel episode going backwards in time, and it's very confusing. All right, bye.